Welcome, our fellow lovers of love, and thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness, down the river of tranquility, to fill the lake of life with love.
Good evening, our fellow lovers out there. And in this thought-provoking episode of Late Night Love, we'll delve into the complexities of life, relationships, parenting, and work. We'll explore the moral dilemma of a landlord contemplating rent increases, unravel the mystery behind the restaurant's out-of-stock claims, hear the tales of unlimited miles adventures. We have one of those. In relationships, we'll navigate the choppy waters of financial leverage in marriage, the revelation of marrying out of fear, challenges of maintaining self-esteem amidst wandering eyes. We got parenting segments addressing the digital age of challenge of catfishing, anxieties of growing up, and early onset puberty. That's always been a difficult one. And then we've got work segments where we discuss dealing with difficult coworkers, inappropriate workplace humor, the nuances of negotiating wages. And so join us as we offer insights and advice on these pressing matters, aiming to bring a little bit more love in here at the late nights when you're listening to us. And we want to welcome the listeners of Michael Mercury, who joins us just from before us. We want to remind you that if you are here on KUBU 96.5 FM, you can find Jamming with Jake after us. They've got a top 20 country countdown. Oh man, this is another one of those nights where my alliteration isn't as I'm stumbling over alliteration already. We are in trouble. That's always a sign of trouble.
Yeah, but your hair looks great.
I bet you always think my hair looks great. All right, so
no, I mean it's especially fetching.
It's just now dry. So you can send your letters and questions to love@latenightlove.us. You can find us at latenightlove.us. And you can find us, Saturdays at 10 and Tuesdays at midnight, Tuesday morning, midnight, Monday evening, midnight, depending upon if you're of course, if you're not a night owl, you don't care because you're not going to be listening to us at midnight on the radio. And we want to remind you, for those who do listen on the radio, we do have a section that's more adult in content that we can't put on the radio. So if you want to listen to that, you're going to have to go find us at latenightlove.us or find us on the local podcast or YouTube and all those various places. And do us a favor, send us the like, share, subscribe. Whew, now that we're all done with that, because I hate that part. Okay, but we should do it more. I just have to get better at it, I guess. All right, so where do we want to start?
We want to start with relationships.
Yeah, I think we need better. So we need to find a segue into questions.
We need to find a segue. Okay, what do we have on tonight's plate, my darling?
I don't know. We've got relationships tonight. And I just
There we go.
I mean, thinking of a show perspective, we jump into questions. We should probably have a topic where we banter about for 5 or 6 minutes and then move on. We should probably pay attention to what's going on in the love sphere and the dating realm and what kind of life advice people out there giving on YouTube and whatnot. And then reaction videos are all the rage these days. We should probably do some. It grosses me out personally, but algorithms and all that. I was just thinking about that.
What's a reaction video?
Oh, or you watch people give bad or good advice, relationship advice, parenting advice, life advice,
comment,
and then you react to it. Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a really lazy way to make content, but it seems to be big these days. So it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So we should probably do some just for the heck of it and see what happens. We'd probably be good at it if we put our mind to it. It's just, it feels gross. So we don't like to do it. So I don't like to do it. Okay. So we're going to start with the relationships tonight. What do we got?
My wife paid off my mortgage, then threw it in my face over a disagreement. How should I handle this?
Okay, now they're both in their mid to late 30s, right? Mid 30s.
Yeah.
Approaching late 30s. And that's something that's actually going to happen in that situation. Because what happens in an argument, especially if you're wrong or on the losing side, what do? You lash out to hurt them instead of trying to solve the issue.
Yes.
And she pulled a big gun, and the hope is she regrets it. If she regrets pulling the big gun, then you can work through it. It's it's not going to be easy to work through, but that's something that can be worked through. It happens when you're arguing. The trick there is to learn how to discuss things without arguing. It's not easy, and you'll argue at times, but you also learn the barriers of your arguments, right? You learn how to do it better. So really, the question is does she regret doing it? Genuine regret. Does she regret doing it? And if that's the case, then you can move past it. It'll take us some time.
Mm-hmm.
She'll have to make up for it in some ways, and she'll have to figure that based upon their relationship and their personal needs. That's not for us, but they'll figure that out. Now, if she doesn't regret it, then you're likely dealing with someone who's got some other issues. She's making more money than him, and she can't handle it. Is the problem.
Apparently.
Yeah, so she's having a sexism issue, if you want to be the truth, if you want to be hard about it. And how do you handle that? She's willing to work on it, then she's willing to work on it. And, when you married somebody, you kind of signed up for these kinds of life journeys. It's what being married is about. If she's just doing it to hurt you, then that's a whole different. Yeah, that's actually a sign that she no longer respects you or the marriage. It's one thing to lash out in an argument and regret it. It's another thing to lash out in an argument and think it was fine or acceptable. Those are two vastly different things.
Yeah.
And in your mid-30s, you should be past that. All right, what's next?
My wife confessed that she married me because she was afraid of being alone. What do I do?
There are many decisions when you decide to marry somebody.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
And what happened is at the time, that was a major factor in her saying yes, but she still had to love you. She still did.
Yeah.
Because not being alone isn't enough. Not wanting to be alone isn't enough. You have to actually kind of like to be around the person. It just, it's just human nature. Very few people will stick it out just because they're afraid of being
How
alone.
many people, me included, like the idea of growing old with someone?
I don't know. I don't think about that part. I know it's going to happen. I'm not ignoring it. It's just part of nature.
What do you mean gonna happen? It's happening.
Well, yeah, but I don't think about it. It's still sometime down the future.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, you know why I think of it that way? Because I'm still growing as a human being. And so until I stop growing as a human being, I'm not growing old. My body is breaking down.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
The years are clocking by, and I figure I got maybe 20 years left, tops, on this earth. So, there is that.
No, you gotta go 30. You gotta outlive me.
There's no way in hell I'm making it to 85. Have you seen the state of my body? It's not happening. I'm sorry, 75 is about what we're going to get.
I'm sorry, that's not enough.
Hey, we'll be lucky to get that. Oh, sorry. So I'm just saying. Tick, 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 tock, tick, tock.
I'm going to be 88.
Yeah, well, I don't think I get to actually make that decision. I
decided.
I just know that, there is an upper end to the way I've treated my body throughout the ages. There is the upper end isn't as high for me as it is for others. If I hit 75, it'll be pure dumb luck. All right. So what's next? Oh, did we even actually answer that question, or did we go way off on a tangent?
We kind of went off on a tangent.
Oh, so
a
what do you
little
do?
bit.
Yeah, so what do you do about it? You love her. At this stage, the question is, do you love her? I mean, she's telling you a deep, hardcore secret. She could have kept that and went to the grave with it. She does care about you. Just work through it. Take some time. Try going through the dating process again when she's not under so much stress. Give her a chance to fall in love with you. You know? Say, okay, let's go back to square two. You don't have to go all the way back to square one. You know, you don't have to deny reality, but go back a ways. Back a ways. Rebuild the relationship. Think of it as an opportunity to find your true selves, wherever that may lead. Have a chance to grow together instead of grow
But
apart.
she bears her soul to you.
Yes, you don't want to turn that down. You want to
Yeah.
you want to respect that, regardless of your feelings. And I can understand why you're feeling hurt.
And she took a risk. She knew she was taking a risk, but she felt it was important for you to know.
Yeah. And so your response is, for it hurt me for a bit, but how about we use it as an opportunity to rebuild our relationship on truth, and just let's start rebuilding it. It's okay. I love you anyway. I love you because of that. It's the whole package. I married the whole package. If that's part of it, that's fine. So let's try to do this without all that stress sitting on your head, knowing that. And let's start from, it's okay. It's probably the kindest gift you could give her would be an okay, and see what she means by it. How much is she feeling guilty because she now really actually genuinely falls in love with you, and now she's wanting to admit, or she's saying it now she doesn't. She wants to end the relationship. It didn't really say. So my guess is she was just feeling insanely guilty, and you don't bear that to somebody you don't trust unless you're wanting to get out of the relationship. So my instinct tells me that this is a relationship that not only can be saved, that is far closer to being saved than you realize.
Yes.
It's my instinct on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Husband of 10 years constantly ogles with other women and it's killing my self-esteem. 10 years. Man.
Well, one, is it actually constantly ogling? It really kind of depends. When I hear things like constantly ogling, is she over? It sounds like, to my goofy ears, it sounds like she's kind of overreacting. Not that she doesn't have a point. It's that.
Well, at this point, she may be a little bit overly sensitive. Can you blame her?
No, because as a man, what you have to realize is you have to at least be subtle.
Peripherals, dude.
Yeah, you have to at least be subtle. Okay, we're out. Humans are humans. Don't get me wrong. Women will ogle a good looking man at a heartbeat, or a good looking woman for that matter. They'll do it too. But when you're with somebody, especially the person you are sharing your life with at the moment, you don't necessarily have to have blinders on, but subtlety, man. Come on, let's grow up. You're not 20 anymore. At 20, you can almost forgive it because you almost can't help yourself. But in your 30s, yeah, because he's in his mid 30s. He should have grown out of that by now. So that's teenager, young 20, mid, early 20s behavior. And it's barely accepted. It's not acceptable. It's barely understandable at that age. You're supposed to have learned your lesson by now.
Mm-hmm.
So I know. My guess is she's probably brought it up a bunch already. My guess is it's not the first time this is an ongoing thing. I'm going to assume, and nothing has changed. So at that stage, it's either some type of marriage counseling or something of that nature.
Definitely.
Now, if she's been holding it in for 10 years and it's really annoying her, well, then you sit down and you have a discussion about it as calmly as possible. But that's going to be very difficult if you've been holding this in for 10 years.
You might need a little help. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is that part. So it kind of depends, right? If you've had this long-term discussion, this is a long-going issue with you, right? You're going to need help navigating it. If you've been bottling this up for 10 years and haven't really had this discussion with them, then you have to have the discussion, but you have to, be calm about it because you haven't told them this before. And you've got 10 years of buildup, like a dam bursting, and he's going to be like they're in a deer in the headlights because he doesn't know. Apparently he's not bright. And so
apparently not.
Yeah, you may need help doing that as well. So marriage counseling may not help. Hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's one of that kind of thing. All right. What's next?
My husband asked for a divorce, then changed his mind hours later. Okay, they're mid-20s.
I don't like to diagnose things based upon this question, but that's kind of like a bipolar thing, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, without knowing any other signs, that's a highly emotional decision. I mean, he's 20. No, she's 23. He's 25. So the question is, what's going on in life? There's something going on. I don't necessarily mean like he's cheating or anything like that. There's some stresses going on and that's triggering highly emotional behavior. Rational, irrational, can't say without knowing what it is. But there's some kind of stresses that is creating a highly emotional behavior. And that's what you're going to have to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's feeling as a failure at work and at home, and he's just asked for the divorce because you'd be better off. Mix some depression with some bipolar or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can get ugly real fast and then realize it later. Say, oh no, you went too far. I don't know. There's all kinds of, doesn't have to be, there's all kinds of things that can trigger that. So the question is, find out what's the stress. That's a sign of severe stress.
Yes, it is. Something else is going on here.
Something else is going on. And so the trick is to figure out what's causing him so much stress and then start dealing with that. And he may need help with that. He may need to find himself a counselor. Because my guess is that kind of thing, it's rarely directly about the relationship. That sounds like someone who, for whatever reason, thought she was going to be better. She was going to be better off without him. Sounds more like one of those things when he's feeling like a failure. And then, scares himself in that moment of panic. Then scares himself again because he doesn't have the slightest idea what he's doing. So, yeah, he needs some help. And, you might not be able to help him directly, but you can stand with him while he figures it out. It's kind of what you signed up for. And you'd want him to do the same.
You would.
Yeah. Okay, what's next?
My partner and best friend tried to initiate a three-way without my consent. How do I recover from this?
What?
So they just sprung it on her.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
Why would you do that?
Because they're kind of dumb. Or there could be some way she has signaled it or they could have interpreted something as a signal that she was open to that kind of thing.
Mm.
I'm not saying it necessarily was, but or with who. But from a 25-year-old, it actually makes sense. Oh, 25-year-olds take a swing at things. If you miss, you miss. They don't really care that much. It's weird. So let's get clear. It's a 23-year-old female, 25-year-old male, and a 30-year-old female.
Yeah, the best friend is the 30-year-old female.
Yeah. So
who at 30 you think would know better.
Yeah, you'd think, but you think, everybody would theoretically know better because your partner should know you better than that, right? Should have at least had a discussion.
Yeah.
Those are things that partners should discuss. I mean, just saying, unless you're out on vacation at in a nudist colony or something, then you might expect weird things to happen. Maybe. I don't know. How do you recover from this? My suspicion is you don't.
You're not gonna.
Yeah,
But
that's a
can
guess.
you move forward?
Yeah. Well, do you want to move forward? Because at some point, this relationship isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one actually was the initiator. Was it her best friend or her partner? And how would her partner know to ask her best friend to see?
And so obviously the partner and the best friend had talked about this.
Yeah, but which one of them started the discussion?
Yeah. Which started it? Who started it? Yeah.
Yeah, suspicions.
I would want to know.
Yeah, just because it while you don't think it matters, it actually kind of does. This guy's he's gonna be a 25-year-old moron, right? He's a 25-year-old man. Who knows how much experience he has? And some woman's trying to get me to have, and she's her best friend. She would know, and so you kind of trust her best friend. I can totally understand how a moron 25-year-old man would jump at that and not think it through, not think through the consequences. Doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying it's totally understandable how a 25-year-old man would just.
And at 25, this is where you learn those things.
Yeah. This is where you learn to think these things through. And so I can actually see how that would happen, assuming it was a 30-year-old woman friend who
initiated it.
Yeah, that's the way I can see how it would happen. And in that sense, I still don't see how she gets past it.
I would be
unless she's open to that kind of thing.
Livid.
Unless she's open to that kind of thing, and she was just upset because
I'll tell you, I'd be searching for a new best friend.
Yeah. Well, again, the only caveat to that is if she is open to that kind of thing, and she's just kind of mad that they didn't talk to her about it first, then that you can get over. You just throw food at them or something, and just figure something out that you can get over. Now, if you're not open to those kind of things, one of those two really misread you, and yeah, my guess is, but yeah, your boyfriend is still immature, and your best friend has the wrong idea about you, or really thinks has the right idea about you.
Well, here's an idea. Maybe the best friend actually just wanted to be with him.
No, because she would have just said that. She wants to be with her.
But she wants to she wants to be with her. Okay.
Yeah. She didn't give a crap about him. She wants to be with her. That's what's the discussion she's afraid to have. Just pointing this one out.
Mm.
If she wanted to get a 25-year-old man, she probably could. He's not that bright, apparently. Yeah. Right. So yeah. No, this one. Yeah. This one's more on that 30-year-old female. She wants this relationship with a 23-year-old. That's how that one's working. And she was using her boyfriend,
Partner, she said.
partner, boyfriend. It's the same thing. As right. So anyway, how do you recover?
Excuse me. No, it's not. Not in not in this day and age. A partner means a life partner. A boyfriend is you're still dating. You haven't committed.
Okay. I stand corrected.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, so how do you recover? I don't know. It kind of depends. My guess is you don't. My guess is you probably lost both. But let's see how that goes. So anyway. All right.
All right. Am I wrong because my girlfriend is mad because I won't put her name on the dashboard of my car? They're both 18.
Yeah. So now, what's this name of the dashboard of the car thing? It must
Apparently, there's a new thing, or at least in their area, where you put decals on your dashboard of your girlfriend's name.
Yeah.
So you're constantly looking at her name.
Okay, I can completely understand why he doesn't want to do it. It's his car. You don't want a bunch of stickers on the inside of your car. He's just not one of those people.
That's his excuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't want it. He also doesn't have bumper stickers.
Yeah. Now, whether it's because he's got a nice car or whether and he wants to protect the resale value or whether he just thinks they're ugly and doesn't want them on there, it's his car. It's his right. And she needs to learn to respect it. But it's also, at 18, these kind of things feel very big for young women.
They really do.
And so.
And everybody else is showing their love. Why can't you show your love for me?
And we're going to go, what the heck are you talking about? Love. But what's this got to do with that? These things aren't related. So
yeah, they are. They're very intrinsically related.
God, I'm glad I'm not 18 anymore. Okay. What's next? That's all I've got to say.
My partner is brutally honest, but I often find it upsetting. Maybe I can't handle the truth.
Well, honesty doesn't have to be brutal. You can be honest and kind. Oftentimes when people say brutally honest, and I've been guilty of this, what they actually mean is because I'm being honest, I don't have to care about your feelings. And so I can phrase this however I feel like. I can approach this however I feel like. Rather than, no, I'm going to figure out a way to be honest, but in a kind, compassionate, caring way. I'm not going to attack you. We're going to deal with whatever issues it is we're dealing with. And we're, going to try and respect that. But, brutally honest people just don't want to take the time to go through all that process of thinking through what they're going to say first. It's either just say, well, but I'm being honest. Being honest doesn't excuse you from being unkind. So that's my answer to that. And, but the point is he's actually honest. And, sometimes the truth hurts a little bit, which is why you try to soften it as best you can. Doesn't mean you don't say it, but, you do soften it.
As much as possible, yeah.
Yeah, while still being honest and clear, right?
Yeah.
Because lack of clarity is a problem in and of itself. But you still want to be clear, but honesty does not have to be brutal. Honesty can be kind. Oh, the camera's locked onto you. You can move as much as you want. It's going to follow you. Hold on. And we've got a camera that is an AI camera, and somehow it got locked on to Lubby over there. And so it's just going to follow her. There, we're turning the block thing off. That was hilarious.
Okay.
It's the AI camera got a life of its own. Someone put up their hand or something, and it. Oh God, damn it! Sorry. There. I did it again. I thought I'd turn that off.
There we go.
Okay. Oh.
Now it's locked on you.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let's see if that worked.
All right.
Let's hope that worked. All right, so what's next?
Is it weird to invite a male classmate home for an assignment? Now, her boyfriend found out and got really upset. She told him, so and so this afternoon he came over and we did the assignment. And because they didn't have the coffee shop nearby was full. The library, for some reason, was closed. So, not their usual choice, but in a pinch.
In your late 20s, you should be past that, right? It's has nothing to do with. I get feeling a little jealous, but at 34, which is his age, and she's 28, just so everybody's clear, you should be beyond that, right? You should be on that kind of jealous. Not that you're not going to have the jealous feeling, but you should be able to deal with it better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to express what emotions you're feeling in an appropriate way, rather than, get angry over it. But is it weird to invite a male classmate? I probably don't think so. No. It's perfectly natural. It's what people who go to school do. They work with other classmates so they can help each other learn. So, all right. So there's that.
We have parenting questions.
Okay.
My child won't stop catfishing adults. Now she's 12. She's 14, excuse me.
You have to take away, at this stage, all you can do is take away her access to the thing she's using. Right? Because
for her own safety.
Yeah. I mean, it may actually mean turning off the Wi-Fi at your house, and you only having to use your computer, because kids are very resourceful. But yeah, she doesn't get a phone. She can't use one. She can't use one responsibly, so she doesn't get one.
No.
That's kind of the most basic principle of a child getting to have a phone, is that they can use it responsibly. She has proven she can't use it responsibly. She has proven she can't use the internet responsibly. She doesn't get to use it. It's as simple as that. Now, it's going to be difficult because she'll go to friends' houses and these kinds of things and use their phones, and so there is that problem, but you can control what you can control. You may have to figure out a way to control environment more, homeschool or something similar, small school environment where they have more control. Yeah, you just may have to, so you can control that until she can learn to be responsible. But you also may want to stop and kind of think how you got here. She didn't get there through nothing. Maybe it was parenting inattention, and you need to solve that problem as well. Maybe it was, bad influences. Who knows what the path leading up to was, but there was a path leading up to this, and you're going to have to solve that problem. Otherwise, it's going to recur. She's having a problem, right? She's having a growing up problem, and she needs more of your attention.
Yes.
And, and you're not actually punishing her. You're protecting her. She's going to take it as a punishment, and you're just going to, okay, fine, because in a sense it is, but it's not. she's not being responsible enough to be giving these tools, right? You don't give a chainsaw to a 10-year-old unless they're a highly responsible 10-year-old. This is the same principle. I do not envy your journey, but spend some more time with your kid. Focus on being better parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you may find that they're going through issues. Maybe there's bullying issues at school, or who knows, there's some other issue to solve when they're acting out like that. Or they just have never had any guardrails and they don't know what's right and wrong, and it's time for you to become a parent.
No, they explained to her at length the dangers
Yeah.
of
But
doing this.
yes, but again, how did you get here? It took a long time to get here. It's going to take a little while to get it back, but you've got to cut. No, you're not responsible enough to use these things. It just is. Not even at least for a few months. I wouldn't even let her use internet or play games, even while you're right in front of her. Wouldn't do it. Even if it means have to cut, the whole family gets cut off. I would go that far if I needed to on this one, because she's playing a dangerous game, and you want to change her trajectory now.
No, must.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could end up very bad.
Yeah. And even if it doesn't end up bad immediately, that trajectory is not good for a 25-year-old. You're going down the wrong path in life. Okay, what's next?
My kid is scared to grow up. The little boy is 7. He comes home from school and he's very upset. He just doesn't want to grow up.
Well, yeah, smart kid. Who in the heck would? No one in their right mind would want to grow up. So he's a smart kid. He's figured it out already. He'll be all right. Now, when a kid comes home from school and he's very unhappy, I might spend some time trying to figure out why he's so unhappy. Maybe there's some bullying going on. Maybe the school environment is wrong, and if you can kind of change that, I would. But other than that, being scared to grow up, it just means he's realized that being an adult is not the panacea that that we want to think it is. He's ahead of the game in that kind of thing. So if you can keep him on track, you'll be all right. So it's just part of life. Tell him he's right. I know. I'd love to be 7, where all I had to worry about was, my math tables that I wouldn't do anyway. So, so I already know that. Why do I got to do it again? That's kind of how I was. So, yeah, I don't know. There's nothing you can really do except be there with them. Make sure there's nothing extraordinary going on at school. Make sure there's no bullying or he's not struggling in something particular. It's just kind of the normal 7-year-old. It's a shade young, but not that young for that kind of realization. All right. So what's next?
What made you do it, going from 1 child to 2? That's a funny question for you.
For me, because I always wanted a big family.
Because you had 5 children.
Yeah, I always wanted a big family.
I had a sister and a sibling, and I wanted that for my children. I have 3 girls.
Yeah, well, I just always wanted a big family, and then of course we wanted a girl because we, boys, and boy, and then boy. One more time. Roll the dice one more time. Yay, girl. So was that. That was kind of that one. It was just I wanted a big family was my simple answer. Okay.
Sister-in-law made it seem weird I was teaching my baby no.
Why no is a powerful word. You actually, children need to know when they're not supposed to do something, and and they understand simple commands like no far faster than they do these complicated reasoning things.
Yes.
So no is not a bad thing. Teaching them no is not a bad thing. One, they need to know the word no when someone's doing something to them they don't like. Now, they may not always use it appropriately, but that's fine. They're children. They're learning. They will learn when and when not to use these things. And being told no does not hurt them. Not getting what they want does not hurt them. What is it, as I used to tell my children? It's good to want things. Builds character when you don't get it. They hated that one. Of course, now they use it, but they hated that one. As parents, they use it, but they didn't like it. But it's true. You have to learn. Life is about prioritizing what you want, what you need, and making these decisions. And the sooner the children can start understanding that concept, the better off they will be. And teaching them no, don't stick your finger in the light socket. No, don't touch the top of the stove. No, don't hit your brother. Those are simple, easy to follow commands.
Yeah.
And it teaches, they learn a lot that way. So don't deny them that experience. Okay, what's next?
What's your experience with traveling with a kid who gets motion sickness?
Oh, my experience. We had Anthony, anytime he drank anything red, like Gatorade, you drink red Gatorade, you get motion sickness. Yeah. If you could, he'd just throw away the car. Now, oddly enough, the youngest one, anytime we drove through Stockton, she would cry. I'm not sure that's motion sickness, but anytime we drove through Stockton, she would cry.
Previous life.
Something.
Something happened there.
Yeah. So there it is. That's my experiences. If your child gets motion sickness, give them their motion sickness medicine and a plastic bag or a couple plastic bags. That's all you can really do. Okay, what's next?
Okay, 9-year-old started her period.
Eh.
Now, the child, it wasn't a shock to the child. The child knew about this was going to happen at some point. Wasn't expecting so early. Now, the problem is the mother, is get her all supplied, and she, spent some time with her and, eating ice cream, watching a movie,
Yeah.
And she's wondering if there's something more she can do, and there's really not, hon. You can just be there for them.
No, 9 is insanely early. And so you actually may want to have it go see a doctor about that just to check. And I suspect that those will be highly irregular at that age.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just insanely early. And I would at least call her pediatrician and have the discussion.
Definitely.
Just because, but yeah, other than that, all you can do is be supportive as possible. And luckily she already kind of knows what to expect, and so it wasn't an over big shock. So congratulations, you've done a good job. That's the takeaway on this, is you've done the good job. You did everything, you did the best you could do. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
So yeah, at night when everything's calmed down and it's all quiet, take a minute and pat yourself on the back. You've earned that one. Okay.
Tips to get a toddler to calm down about germs. They taught about germs at school and washing your hands. So now he's visualizing these little bugs getting into his body,
Yeah, of course he is, because there's always got to be one who's going, oh man, you taught that one too early. Because now he's going to be, be very, very careful about this one, about developing, I don't know, not hypochondria, the like the hand washing thing, OCDs, germaphobes. Yeah, this one's going to be tough because they're starting early. And yeah, that's my worry, is you're actually treating them. So it's a good thing to guide them, figure it out now. Maybe one thing to do is tell them that not all germs are bad. We need germs.
We do need germs. Yeah.
We need these things. We can't function without these kind of things. The world can't function without these things. We wouldn't be alive without germs and microbes and all these various
Now,
things.
here's where a trip to the doctor might be helpful, and the doctor can explain some of the good germs.
On this one, I might find a child science museum.
Ooh.
If you can find a child science museum or play center or something like that, that's where I would go down. Try that, because at this point, all you can do is more education. I mean, it's difficult with a toddler, but you're going to have to go down that path, because otherwise, you worry about what the long-term effects of that kind of thing. That's an early obsession, and early obsessions tend to stick. Okay, what's next?
Is it too much to expect my children to graduate high school with an associate's degree? They're right next door to the college, and the college partners with the high school, and they can take classes
Okay, well,
that are equivalent, but they've worked it all out to where they can graduate high school with an associate's degree.
it's perfectly reasonable to encourage them to do so. It's perfectly reasonable to support them in that journey, that type of journey. It is not reasonable to expect it. Not all kids are suited for that workload. So I encourage you to encourage them and support them.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. It's great, but don't expect it. That would be my suggestion. Yeah. And no, it's too much to expect. Everything else is great. Just drop the expectation part and change it to support, encourage, all that stuff. Take advantage of that college right next to you. Why, yeah, I get it. Makes sense. But humans don't always make sense. Our needs and wants don't always. You're in a weird spot. I'm having to look backwards to look at you. It's strange. We got to figure this one out. We got to sit some time down here and figure this out. Okay. All right. So what's next? That's the last of our
parenting, and we're moving on into work questions.
All right. What do we got next?
Training coworker gets upset when I ask questions. Okay, he's training this lady. She's 50. It's a coworker. And he's like 34. So I think there's something there. And he trains her, and just to make sure she knows what he just asked, he just trained her on, right? He asks her questions and she takes offense.
Okay, well, this one's actually difficult, because what she's taking offenses to is your training style. She may not need it. She may understand. She may have done something very similar. I've done this kind of thing before, and she just really needs to know where the button is, right? And one of the things I have learned is when you train somebody, is you take them from where they are. If someone's already at step 3, you don't have to. You can kind of zoom through 1 and 2, right? And 3.
Mm-hmm.
You run through it. They've got it, and maybe it's the way you ask the question. You could actually kind of, what's the specific question? It's time for reflection. Time to get better at your job. Use it as feedback to get better. Maybe you're just kind of rubbing people the wrong way, or maybe she's a bit of a pain, and you're just gonna have to deal with it and move on. Just let it be. Right? When she's at work, she'll be fine. When she's trained up, she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be that too. She could just be difficult, but as long as she works well. But my guess is she finds this easy and she finds the questions a bit insulting, and she's not, shall we say, sophisticated in dealing with it. Would be my guess. Just a guess. All right.
All
What?
right. Our board vice president won't stop telling me inappropriate jokes.
Okay, if you've explained to them that you find them inappropriate and you want them to stop, the next step would be to send a letter to the president of the board. Or you could also, if you, depending upon where you sit in the organization, you could also send a letter to HR, but that HR covers them, not you. So this is one where I would first personally deal with it from the president of the board.
Yeah.
Maybe the executive director, depending upon the makeup of the organization. And then if they don't do anything, or if they poo-poo it or whatever, then you signal HR in and a lawyer, because then it's going beyond inappropriate jokes and into harassment. But the clear thing is you have to have told them that, I don't really like these kind of jokes. I don't appreciate it. And if they continue, you actually have to tell them that, because not everybody knows.
You have to tell him.
Yeah, not everybody knows you're not cool with inappropriate jokes. Lots of people are cool with, inappropriate, or other people would call inappropriate jokes that are perfectly fine in some circumstances. So, it's not as clear cut as we all think.
Yeah.
What one person finds inappropriate, another group of people can be, hey, we're just kind of having, they're jokes. We're not meaning anything by it. So, but as we all know, what you can say in a comedy club is vastly different than what you can say in a boardroom. So, again, it's inappropriate is inappropriate, and but you do have to tell them that you don't want to participate in that kind of discussion. So, all right, what's next?
Is your workplace reminiscent of high school?
Well, they can get that way, but but no, my current one isn't. But workplaces can get that way.
I've been there, man. It's exhausting.
It's too much work. It's too much trauma. And then you go. It's if the office jobs have a tendency to kind of resemble high school. If you want to resemble inappropriate jokes, go work out on an assembly line or a construction site. Right? Those are two vastly different kinds of trauma. Oh, but you got trauma both ways. Just same.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. You go to an assembly. Yeah. And people are telling inappropriate jokes, and no one means a dang thing by it. It's just it's a long, boring, monotonous job, and they're literally passing time. So that's all I'm saying. Give them a pass, man. That stuff is hard, hot, monotonous work. Let them pass the time. As long as they're not singling any individual out, let them pass the time. All right, what's next?
What did it take for you to quit that toxic job of yours?
Oh, I'd never had any problem with quitting a toxic job. I just quit a toxic job. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth my stress and time. I can always get another one.
I would find a new job first, is what I always did.
Yeah. Well, there's two ways to do it. I never stuck around a toxic environment long enough for it to become, now I've stuck around jobs that became toxic, environment changed, and, it was once a nice environment, became toxic, and then I left. So it is what it is. Okay, what's next?
How do you call in sick at your job? Because they're not allowed to send a text. They're not allowed to leave a voice message. They have to talk to that person,
Well, which person?
their boss,
Yeah.
and tell them I'm sick.
Yeah, that's kind of archaic, but it's not for people our age. It's not unusual.
It's not unusual, no.
No, I mean it might be kind of unusual for people relatively modern people. I can send my boss a text and say I'm not coming in today, and their only question is there anything we need to cover? So no, I took and it's like I just open the door at 10, they'll be fine, because of the nature of my job. But no, it's so it really kind of depends. But no, that's not unusual. It's growing more and more unusual, I would suspect. But it's especially if you've got like an assembly line where actually everybody matters, and they may need to have to call somebody, and they can't wait for the receptionist to send a note to somebody. It might take an hour to get to them, so that's why you have to talk to somebody.
Mm.
So it may make a huge amount of difference on how things are structured or what you can get done that day or whatever. So it can matter a lot. So there might be an underlying reason that you don't understand. But for most people, you could call in sick, you send a text or an email or whatever, depending upon the job. Maybe you're a line crew at an electric for an electric company, and there's a crew of 3, and one person calls out. What do you do? Where do you get the third guy from?
Mm.
So that's the kind of thing where it matters. Okay.
My coworkers are horrible drivers and make me terrified to be in a car with them.
Yeah.
Man, I can relate.
Then don't.
I just refuse. No, I ain't riding with you.
Yeah, just don't.
You scare me.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Just try not to. Okay, what's next?
Why do coworkers go to the manager instead of being straightforward?
Because they don't want to deal with. They're not paid to deal with the confrontation. That's what their manager's for.
Yeah.
Now, would it be better if they did? Yeah, probably, but they just don't want to deal with it. It's somebody else's job. Maybe you're a pain to deal with, and so they don't want to deal with it. You're somebody else's problem. So I might spend a little bit of time looking in the mirror. Why don't they come to me? Maybe because you're not that easy to approach. And they don't want to deal with the confrontation. Somebody else is paid for that nonsense. That's an option. How about look a little inward on that one would be my suggestion. Okay.
How do I go about negotiating wage?
Oh, this is entirely dependent upon where you are and what industry you're in and blah, blah, blah. There's too many variables for me to answer on this one. Because if you're working a job at, Walmart or at the Amazon warehouse or something, you're pretty much paid what you're paid. I mean, there's a little flexibility in there, but the job's only worth so much to them. So there's only so much negotiation room, right? Whether you get the starting wage or you get something a little higher than the starting wage is the discussion there. There's just not a lot of flexibility. Now, if you're negotiating a wage for to be, say, the executive director of a nonprofit, just right. Well, then you're going to have to go and do some research on what people in that position generally make, and then try to kind of build something around that based upon your experience and worth that you can bring to the table, your specialties. Do you want to? All right, I'm not as experienced as other people, so they're taking a risk on me. So maybe my negotiation leverage is less. So I'm going to have to accept less. Maybe I'm really experienced. I got 10 people knocking at the door. If you want me, you're going to have to give me a higher wage and benefits, right? Because if you don't, they will. So it really depends upon your circumstances. circumstances as well. So, if you're desperate, you're kind of be willing to take less, than if you've got 10 people knocking on your door. But there was also, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and you would like to get to a point where you're charging people for your results, not your time. Right? Because when you're paid for your time, it's okay if a project takes all day because you're getting paid, right? Because you're getting paid by the hour. If you're getting paid by the project, what happens if you're fast? You can do 3 projects in the same time. And then there's that can mix in with another little theory I actually heard just this afternoon. You ever hear about the pottery class?
No.
There's this professor who had 2 pottery classes. One class, he said, the whole class is to make one perfect pot at the end of the quarter. That's it. That's all you got to do. Just make one pot. With the other class, he says you need to make as many pots as you can by the end of the class. That's it. That was the class's goal. One class had to make one pot. The other class had to make as many as they could. You know what happened?
What?
The people who had to make a lot of pots were making better pots. All of them were making better pots than that one pot was. Because practice makes you good. So when you're talking about negotiating your wage, figure out your value and these kind of things, that's part of it. If you're fast, you're going to either need a higher wage or you're going to need to figure out a different way to get paid. And sadly, they're making it harder and harder to work as independent contractors so you can get paid is what you're worth. So that's a whole nother thing. We've got people trying to think that making an hourly wage is good for you rather than getting paid for your actual value. Okay, what's next?
If an interview says we're still interviewing other candidates at the moment and then walks you out into the lobby, does that mean they want to hire you potentially after or no?
It means they're still interviewing other candidates. That's what it means. I mean, it could very well mean that they're not interested in you, but it generally means they're interviewing other candidates. Generally speaking.
Yeah, exactly what they said. Yeah.
Yeah. On occasion, it could be, but generally, there's a difference. Even if they say that, there's a difference in tone that you can kind of get, right? If you can't kind of get it. Now, if you're walking out feeling pretty good, feeling that they like the interview went well, you might be high on their list. But doesn't mean they're still going to go through their list, right? Just because you were good doesn't mean someone else isn't going to be better. Oftentimes this is a very little reflection on you. It's a reflection on the candidate pool you happen to be caught up in this time. But so really, the question on this one is, did you feel like it went well? Did you feel like they were looking to hire you? That if other people's interviews, be damned. Did you do the best interview you could do? And if you did, then go do that again.
There you go.
And go do that again, and eventually you'll get the job you want. I know interviews are terrible.
I hate interviews.
Job searching is kind of a dehumanizing thing. It really is it feels dehumanizing. So I get that's difficult, but just go do them. You get better at them as you do them. But it seems like they felt that it went pretty well. And so maybe it did. Just let them hire people, let them go do their interviews. Hey, and sometimes you're second on the list. They hire somebody else and it doesn't work out. And then they call you 6 weeks later. It's okay. They were wrong. They came to you and admitted it. So, hey, we were wrong about this nerd. Can we hire you instead? It's all good. Okay, so what's next?
I was put on furlough, mandatory unpaid time off at my job. During this time, my boss called me and asked me a question. Was I wrong to tell him I will answer that when I'm back in the office and getting paid?
Are you wrong?
No, but
Dependent upon the question. If it was a highly, it depends upon the question, to be honest, on how I would respond to this. But no, you're not wrong. I mean, I get it. You've just taken away a bunch of my money. Now you want me to solve a work problem when I'm not getting paid? Send me a check for the whatever 15 minutes it's gonna this is gonna cost me. I get paid in 15-minute increments. So if I'm paid $100 an hour, you're gonna have to send me $25 if you want this answer. I get the feeling that way. I really do. Now, whether you should do that or is another question. Again, whether I would have done it, I may have answered the question, but it really depends. If it was a single question and it was easy to answer and short, I would have done it. If they're repeatedly calling you, asking you questions, you tell them, there's my response. It really kind of depends, as always. Okay, what's next?
we have we have life questions now.
Okay.
I'm a landlord and I have to increase rent, but I know my tenants can't afford the new price. What should I do?
Well, the question is, do you have to increase rent, or are you increasing rent because the people around you are? Right? Are you having to increase rent because there's some goofy law that says if you increase rent for new tenants, you have to increase rent for old tenants? Or are you actually have to increase rent because costs have gone up? You had to put on a new roof, you had to do some plumbing work, insurance went up, and you actually need more money because it costs more, right? If you need more money because it costs more, then you need more money because it costs more. And there's really nothing you can do about that. As sad as it is, you may try to make it as small as possible, give them a transition period, whatever it is, try to be as kind as possible. But, economics are economics.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have enough money to keep the roof in repair, you're not doing your job as a landlord. So there is that. So my question is before you increase rent, make sure you have to increase rent. There's not another way you can do it. Maybe it's an apartment building and you can increase rent for new tenants without increasing the rent for your old ones. Maybe you give one tenant a special deal that nobody else knows about. Because they're good tenants. And good tenants are worth something. But if you're a owner of a duplex and the money's not covering the expenses, what choice do you have?
You really don't.
So these are the hard calls about becoming a landlord. When you become a landlord, these are things you're signing up for. These are the kind of decisions you're signing up for that you don't think about. And the one thing is you're at least thinking about it. And you're going to have to take the time and consider, are you raising rents because you can, or is it because you really have to? And if it's you really have to, then you really have to. If you have other options, then maybe examine other options because it's not sitting well with your soul. Okay, what's next?
Why do restaurants sometimes say they're out of an item when they actually have plenty?
They're out of that item for the day because they have tomorrow. They have people who want to come tomorrow to feed too. They have an element, an allocation for the day. And when that allocation is over, it's over. They're not getting any more until Monday or Tuesday, right? So they've got to make it go all the way through the weekend. And if you're on a Friday night and you run out of scallops, the scallops that they've allocated for Friday night, guess what? They're not opening the new package because they need those for tomorrow night. And so they're out of scallops. That's what happens.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, sometimes they may have something for, okay, well, Sundays are usually slow, so we'll use some of Sundays, but they've usually thought that through already. And the allocations are
Mm-hmm.
they're split up as the way they are. This is all we've got, so this is how it's gonna have to make it. So that's why when you actually have when they say they're out of an item but still have plenty, it's for tomorrow. it's not for you. No food for you. Order something else.
Hamburger.
Yeah, you're gonna have to order something else. It's just the way it is. Okay.
Has anyone rented a car with unlimited mileage and really driven it with unlimited mileage? What was the response when we returned the car to the rental agency? Dear Hawaii.
Yeah. We drove 1,400 miles in like a week on that
On a rock.
Yeah, on
an island.
On an island. It was 1,400 miles in like a week, and they just looked at me funny. Is really all that do it. Like, what? I don't think they could believe that we went 1,400 miles in a week. Is what happened. But yeah, we drove. We went like over and across the volcano like every day. But yeah, that was a pretty good thing. It was 1,400 miles on the island in a week, so that was cool. And yeah, they just looked at me funny because what are they going to do? And that's only 1,400 miles, but it's the circumstances. Being on a little island, I don't think they've ever seen 1,400 miles on a rental car in Hawaii, because people drive to the beach, they sit there all day, and then they go. They don't just drive around, but we drove. Okay, what's next?
Why do people sell their car after only owning it for 1 or 2 years?
Okay, well, it's kind of an old school saying. I don't really think it applies much anymore, but you're either paying for a lease, or you're a loan, or you're paying for maintenance. You're either making car payments or maintenance payments. Which one do you want? Now, I don't think that necessarily applies today, but some people just like the new car. They ride a little better. They're not as worn in. And if you've got the money, then you've got the money. But of course, I was also watching. Who was it? One of the old time rappers. He has a 1993 Lexus something, and he still drives it. Lexus did it all up in a deal. They went and redid the whole car after he crashed it. And so,
oh wow!
So it's not even like a new car. They fixed his broken, crashed one, and just redid it from top to bottom, decked it all out. So he still drives it. How about this? Don't worry so much about what other people are doing with their cars and their houses and whatnot. Just do you. If you've got the resources and you want to lease a new car every 2-3 years, then lease a new car every 2-3 years. If you want to buy a car and drive it till the wheels fell off, well, then buy a car and drive it until the wheels fall off. Both things are okay in my book. Just saying. Okay, now it's 10:14, Lovey, so we're running late already. Do you want to run through these, or do you just want to run through quick? No?
No.
Now we're done?
Yeah.
All right, that's it for us tonight. We want to thank you for joining us. Join us next week for a discussion on, I don't know, more of what we've got. Maybe we'll do some reaction videos next week, or a reaction video next week. We have to find one to react to, and I don't do TikTok, so that's going to be difficult. Anyway, we're out of here tonight. You guys have a great night. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that kind of good, fun stuff. You can find us at latenightLove.us. You can send us letters at love@latenightLove.us. You can find us on KUBU 96.5 FM here in the greater Sacramento area, or around the world on their app, KUBU 96.5 FM app. Yeah, that's my radio voice right there. You like that one?
I like that one.
I could do the radio voice. I could do the radio announcer voice now. I've learned how to do it. Anyway, thanks you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week. Have a good night, and please remember, to love everybody.